Sorry, everyone, I did not have my camera on, but hello. Welcome back to Friday Fun Days with Wedgwood Christian Services. I'm Lexi Harvey. I'm a group specialist on the Positive Youth Development team. And today we are diving into a little bit of more curriculum-based things. Our theme today is healthy relationships. And me and another one of our group specialists, Mike Cephas, came up with a couple questions for you guys today, just to do a little bit of trivia. And a disclaimer, when it comes to talking about healthy relationships, it's more of an open discussion. So wouldn't say that there's necessarily one right answer. There can be a lot of different right answers. So as you guys are putting answers in, I love to see the creativities and opinions on what you think about this. So like last time, we will wait a little bit and see if we have any more people join the live. So sit back and relax with me while we wait, and we'll give them about another minute or so. And that way I can pull up the questions and be prepared too. We're so glad to have you guys today. Appreciate you guys being here. And hopefully as our channel grows, we get more engagement and more kiddos to join and do the trivia with us. So this is just the beginning and we just have to grow from here, but I'm looking forward to growing our channel and the amount of engagement that we have. So we'll wait about 10 more seconds and then we can get started on this. If you've joined us, you can go ahead and say hello in the chat, the live chat. And again, if you weren't here last week, how I do this is I will ask a question and you are able to just answer through the chat there. And then afterwards, Mike Cephas, again, one of our group specialists on our Positive Youth Development team, will go through and figure out what answers are right and wrong and hand out the gift cards after that. So let's get started. Again, today we are doing healthy relationships. And like I said, a little disclaimer, it's hard to say that there's just one correct answer for any of these questions, but we do have a tiebreaker question at the end that does have a right or wrong answer. So today we have a little bit of true or false. We have some scenario-based questions, and we have multiple choice. So listen carefully, and I'll repeat the questions twice. But yeah, let's get started. So we have our first question is, give one quality of a real friend. Give one quality of a real friend. And again, this is a very open-ended question, so it's really whatever you feel like the answer is to you, but we'll go over a couple of right answers in a minute. So I'll give you 10 seconds to answer that one. Looks like we only have 2 people joining us today, which is okay. And again, we're still growing, still learning, but I'll give you a couple seconds to answer this. And question again was, give one quality of a real friend. Got another person that joined. If you want to say hi in the chat or say where you're from, that would be awesome. We just started the trivia. We started a question that said, give one quality of a real friend being someone, can't really tell you because that would give the answer away. But again, it's more, hi Teen Charge, glad to have you guys. So yes, that's a great answer. Kind's a great answer. So give one quality of a real friend. Kind is awesome. You can be real with each other. You listen to each other. You're loyal, trustworthy, and have similar values. And so the message that we give across to our kids is to find people that have values that are similar to you and that treat you with respect and as a person, and don't pressure you into negative behaviors. The next question we have is a scenario-based question. So your friend pressures you into vaping with them after school. Instead of participating, you choose not to. Your friend is annoyed and tells other people that you were too scared. Is this a good example of a friend? This is a yes or no question. And I'll read it again for you guys. Your friend pressures you into vaping with them after school. Instead of participating, you choose not to. Your friend is annoyed and tells other people you are too scared. Is this an example of a good friend? I think we also think that scenario based questions are really good for kids to think on. A lot of the times when we teach them these um, lessons and curriculum, it's easy for them to understand in the moment. But again, when it comes to living it in real life, it can be a lot more difficult for everybody. So going over scenario based questions are really important. So the question was, your friend pressures you into vaping with them after school. Instead of participating, you choose not to. Your friend is annoyed and tells other people you were too scared. Is this an example of a good friend? The answer would be no. So this friend obviously is not supporting you in their decision, in your decision to not participate in negative activities. I apologize. There's a dog barking next door. And you also want to have friends that share positive activities with you. So if your friend is engaging in vaping or other activities that aren't good for their health, mental health, otherwise, that probably isn't a good friend. The next question we have is more leaning towards effective communication, which is also a great part of healthy relationships. So instead of using you statements and arguments, you should use blank statements. So instead of using you statements and arguments, you should use blank statements. In a fight, if I'm talking to someone that I'm frustrated with, I'm constantly blaming them about the situation. Obviously, that's not going to go well. So instead of saying, you did this, you did this, you did this, what other ways can I reflect on an argument and use this sort of statement to get my point across and share my feelings? The question again was, instead of using you statements in an argument, you should use blank statements. And we have someone else that joined. Hello, hello. Thank you for coming. We are 3 questions in, so go ahead and join. You can say hello in the chat if you would like to. We're going over healthy relationship questions, so I appreciate you being here. Question that I just asked was, instead of using you statements in arguments, you should use blank statements. And the answer to this is I statements. So when I'm frustrated or I'm in an argument, I should talk about how I'm feeling and not just the actions or implications of someone else's feelings that they've done to me. Using I statements helps the other person understand your perspective and doesn't make them feel attacked or like they don't have any validation in the argument. Thanks for joining us, Val. We're glad to have you. Next question that we have is, give an example of an effective communication skill. This is a question we always ask the kids when we're going over effective communication, and kind of just like the you and I statements, that's a part of it, and that could be an answer. But we also want kids to tell us, what does it look like then, other than just using you and I statements? What would signal to the other person that you are having an intentional and meaningful conversation with them? So again, the question was, give an example of an effective communication skill. You can go ahead and put your answers in the chat if you would like. In this, again, the answers vary. There's not one correct answer. It's more kind of just allowing our kids to brainstorm and come up with ideas of what would be an effective communication skill. Give about 10 more seconds for that. Again, the question was, give an example of an effective communication skill. So an answer to an effective communication skills, looks like Teen Charge gave us something. Yes, it could be something I just said. I know I gave away a little bit of an answer, was not trying to. It's hard for me not even to tell the answers, but yes. An example could be eye contact. that signals to that person that you are listening to them. If you're looking off to the side, obviously it shows that you don't care kind of what that person is saying. Sorry, I lost my space. Being sensitive and caring to the other person's feelings. You might not necessarily agree with how they feel, but allowing them to express themselves and really understand and have empathy towards the situation. And that kind of goes into understanding another person's perspective. And then I also have honesty and sincerity. So being sincere about what you mean and what you feel. And again, it can be tricky if it's a really heated argument, but you want to use I statements always and not you statements so that you can effectively talk about how you're feeling and also effectively hear the other person. Moving on to our next question. What is a relationship red flag? Now, I'm not asking like what is a red flag, like tell me like an example of one. I want to know like what the definition of a red flag is, because I think often we talk about it with our kids and I don't know if they necessarily know even what the term red flag means. So if you can give me a quick definition of what a red flag is, and it's and this could be in a romantic relationship or friendships too, or even relationships with your siblings, or your parents, or family. So the question is, what is a relationship red flag? And we're looking for a definition on the actual term and not examples of it. Again, I'll do like 10, 15 more seconds for that. And then I will give you guys the answer. Again, thank you everybody for joining us today. Again, I know we don't have a ton of people joining yet, but we're just getting started. So I am excited to see our engagement grow, hopefully over the summer, and that we can get some more kids involved with this. So the question I asked was, what is a relationship red flag? And I'm looking more for the term and not an example. And the definition that I gave was a danger sign or a trait that may not be healthy. And so that's you just kind of noticing something about someone else that might not mesh well with yourself, or just might be a strongly negative trait about that person that affects you or the relationship. So, for example, we're talking about effective communication. If this person never is working towards having effective communication with you, and doesn't look at you when you're talking to them, doesn't try to understand your perspective on anything, is not sensitive, is not caring, all of those things, that's a really big red flag or danger sign that maybe that is not a relationship that you want to engage in. The next question we have is, so all of this said, how can you find healthy and lasting friendships? I think we talk a lot about all warnings and this is what you should do, what you should do. I feel like a lot of kids are then wondering, okay, well then how do I find positive friendships in my life that I can have meaningful and deep relationships with as they're going through middle and high school and into adulthood? So the question is, and this is kind of open-ended, how can you find healthy and lasting relationships? Just a little bit of food for thought. And again, there's not one particularly right answer, but it's just helpful to open discussion. And so the answer for that, how can you find healthy and lasting relationships, is I put similar values. And I think that's what we as a team really focus on, is having kids evaluate, what are things that they like to do, engage in their passions that are positive. And yeah, like Val's saying, and talk or find groups that match your values. I think that's exactly what we say. You have to find people that have similar interests as you, and you can join clubs. You can join sports teams. After school activities is a great way. Outside organizations to find people that are enjoying things that you do, volunteering, even a job as they get older in high school, are all really, really great ways to find positive people in your life. Now we are moving on to our next question, which is a true or false question. And it is true or false. It is important to be able to forgive in relationships. Again, maybe some of these questions feel a little bit obvious. There might be an obvious right answer, but It's important to ask these questions and to engage in meaningful conversation with our students about what does forgiveness look like, and um, even in really tricky arguments, how do we move on with one another and have those effective conversations to come to a good resolution for both parties. So again, the question is true or false. It is important to be able to forgive in relationships. And the answer is true. It is always great. And especially when you're doing the effective communication style, I think that makes both parties feel really heard and understood. And a lot of the times that's where conflict comes, is where people don't feel like they're being heard or validated through their feelings. So forgiving people for mistakes that they make, either, it's through actions or through words, as long as they're willing to look at what they did and how that might have hurt you. It's really important to forgive in relationships and move on. Again, we have another person. Hello, we have 5 people now. That's great. Welcome. We are a little bit over, almost done with our trivia, but please feel free to say hello in the chat or participate in the questions, but we're glad to have you here. The next question we have is multiple choice, and it says, which one of these is an obstacle to a healthy relationship? We have A, jumping to conclusions, B, rigid thinking, C, defensiveness, or D, all of the above. So which of these is an obstacle to a healthy relationship? So something that gets in the way of having a really healthy relationship. A, jumping to conclusions, B, rigid thinking, C, defensiveness, or D, all of the above. Give you about 10 seconds to think about that. Rigid thinking, I think, would be defined as kind of like in conflicts, you're not really willing to have compromise or validation or empathy for another person's perspective. And so you're very stuck in your own thoughts and only validating yourself, which is important. But also when you're in a relationship with someone, friendship, parent, friend, otherwise, you have to be able to connect and understand that you might not always be right, and that's okay. And maybe there's not always a right answer. And it's about understanding one another, I think, would be my best definition for that. Hi, Isaiah. Thanks for joining us. Yes, we are almost done with the questions, but I really appreciate you coming anyways. It's great to see some involvement. The question that I have is, which one of these is an obstacle to a healthy relationship? So something that gets in the way of having a healthy relationship. And we have jumping to conclusions, rigid thinking, defensiveness, or all of the above. And thanks, Val, for sending in an answer, and we'll give Isaiah a second to answer that. So which one of these is an obstacle to a healthy relationship? Jumping to conclusions, rigid thinking, defensiveness, all of the above. I'm going to give you about 10 more seconds, Isaiah, to answer that one. Again, we appreciate you coming. We have 6 people today. It's fantastic. It's growth from last week. So thank you guys for coming. It is still really weird for me to be going live because I can't really hear. Well, I can't hear any of you guys. So great. Yeah. So Val and Isaiah, great job. It is all of the above. The 3 other options are all obstacles, to having a healthy relationship, and especially within conflict. And we have our last question before our tiebreaker question, which is true or false. It is more important to have good friends than a lot of people that you call friends. True or false, it is more important to have good friends than a lot of people that you call friends. And Isaiah, yeah, you said in your opinion, and that's great. And I touched on this before you got here. But a lot of these questions with healthy relationships are based on your opinion, and there's not necessarily one right answer. There's a lot of right answers that you could have when it comes to these questions. But again, we ask these to kind of engage in a discussion about what that looks like in a real day-to-day life. So the question that I just asked was true or false. It is more important to have good friends than a lot of people that you call friends. Awesome, Isaiah. Great answer. That's great. Thank you. Give 10 more seconds. Teen Charge wants to throw in an answer, and I see Val did, so I appreciate you guys' participation. And again, we will be trying to do these every Friday to have some engagement with our students. We started trying to do this with Hope Academy students, and now we have Isaiah, who is a Teen Charge brand rep this summer, so that's awesome. And you guys are right. The correct answer is true. It is more important to have good friends than a lot of people who you call friends. And like Isaiah said, he honestly explained it great. His answer was true because if your friends aren't loyal, then how are they friends? I hold on to my closest instead of acting like I'm popular. I think that's a great answer, and it's a really good thing to think on as you enter even adulthood, is just to have a few people that you can really trust and rely on. So you guys have been doing super good at these questions. And now we have a tiebreaker, which you may or may not know. So I'm finger crossed that you guys will figure it out. But the tiebreaker question is, what is the foundation of Maslow's hierarchy of needs? So you're going to have a little bit of background knowledge on this, but I kind of did something a little bit crazy, and just a little background. I'll give you a tiny hint. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is basically like a pyramid. And it's asking what would be the first thing that you would need to feel like a very healthy person completely together. There's different steps, but I'm just asking for the very first one. And I'll give one hint. It has to do with, has to do with taking care of yourself in a very basic sense. So Maslow hierarchy of needs. Look it up afterwards. Maybe I'll send a link to it because it's very interesting. I think it's really important for our kids to understand. But what is the foundation? What is the first thing that you need to build on to become a complete and healthy person? I'll give you guys 20 seconds to think on this. This is a little bit tricky, and I didn't get to teach you guys any of it. So maybe Teen Charge will know, maybe Val will know. Isaiah, give it your best shot. Maybe you will know. That would be super impressive. Again, yay that we have 6 people today. That's awesome. I think last week we got to 5. So that's one more person. That makes me super happy. And I'm glad you guys have joined us today. Isaiah, if you have an answer, you can go ahead and send it in. Ooh, I like that answer. So the answer is physiological needs. Teen Charge, I thought it was safety. When I came up with this question, I was like, oh, the first one is safety, but it's actually the foundation of it is just having food, water, warmth, and rest. And that's the very first one. The second one is safety, but I thought that was what it was too. So good job, Val. Isaiah, great answers, very deep, being okay to change. That's awesome. Maybe okay having with responsibilities. Those are great. And maybe I'll make a video on it and we can post it to the channel. I think that would be kind of cool. But the foundation of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is physiological needs, which is food, water, warmth, rest, everything you just kind of need to survive, basically. So that question was a little bit tricky, but I thought I would throw something a little hard in there for our tiebreaker question. I really appreciate you guys all participating today, especially Isaiah. Thank you for hopping on and supporting me today. That makes me feel great. Thank you, Val, for coming and supporting me, and Teen Charge. And I know Kathy and Mike are watching too. But next week, we will not be having our Friday Fun Day because of the holiday. It's July 3rd, so the day before July 4th, we won't be having Friday Fun Day. And then the week after that is a little bit weird too. We will actually be having Thursday fun day instead of a Friday fun day because of scheduling. And we're going to be doing a different live video that Friday. So we are going to continue to do these. I'm really happy with it. I think it's fun. I think it's great for kids to get involved, and hopefully we can get some more students online getting their thoughts out there. And Isaiah, you did a great job engaging in, like I said, the discussion of kind of what it looks like. How do the gift cards work, by the way? Yeah, so I mean, Isaiah, you will be receiving a gift card today for your participation. Um, so I appreciate you coming in today. Again, most of the time I start at 1. The next Friday fun day that we have will be Thursday, July 9th at 1 p.m. and not on Friday. But then after that, we're hoping to get back into our Friday schedule. Again, if you have any suggestions on how to make YouTube Live better, if like I'm trying to figure out how to do music or I can share my screen, please don't hesitate to email the PYD email account or reach out to me, Isaiah, because you have our information, so you can let us know. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys coming today. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and thank you for joining us again for part 2 of our Friday Fun Days. We'll see you next time, July 9th, Thursday, July 9th, 1 p.m. See what Isaiah said. Oh, I appreciate that, Isaiah. You're so sweet. That's what we're hoping. We're hoping to get more people so it can be a little bit more fun and get some more engagement with it within the community. But that's all I have for you guys today. Again, thank you guys for joining. I hope you had a little bit of fun, and I will see you Thursday, July 9th at 1 p.m. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.